The morning bell echoed through Ridgewood High, a school known less for its education and more for its privilege. Children of politicians, businessmen, and elites filled the corridors like royalty on parade. But that morning, all eyes turned toward the new teacher walking down the hall. Miss Alina Carter, young, confident, dressed in a modest cream blouse and black skirt. Her gaze was calm yet sharp, her steps measured, like someone who had already lived through storms far greater than anything inside these shiny hallways. Students whispered, "She's the new English teacher. Heard she came from the city. She's too pretty for this place." But one voice stood above the rest. Arrogant, cocky, loud Jake Reynolds, the principal's son, handsome, spoiled, and untouchable. He leaned against his locker with his crew, smirking as Alina passed. "Welcome to Ridgewood, Miss Carter," he mocked loud enough for the hallway to hear. She stopped for half a second, her eyes meeting his. Calm, unbothered, and with a faint smile that made Jake's grin falter for a moment. Then she simply said, "Thank you, Jake. I hope you'll behave better than your reputation suggests." His friends snickered. Jake's jaw tightened. Nobody talked back to him. Not students, not teachers, not even his own father, the principal, who saw him as his golden boy. But Miss Carter just kept walking, her heels clicking like punctuation marks of authority across the polished floor. By lunchtime, everyone was talking about her. Some admired her beauty, others whispered about her attitude. Jake, however, couldn't stand being ignored. "She thinks she's special," he sneered to his friends. "Let's remind her where she is." When the afternoon class began, Alina stood at the blackboard writing, "Truth is power only when courage dares to speak it." The class was unusually silent. Her voice was steady, warm, but carried a weight that made even the restless kids sit up. "Who can tell me what this means?" she asked, turning to face them. Silence. Then Jake, sitting in the back, raised his hand with a smirk. "It means people who talk too much usually regret it." His tone was mocking, his eyes filled with challenge. The class chuckled nervously. Alina smiled faintly. "Interesting perspective," she replied. "But sometimes silence is the loudest cowardice." That struck him. He clenched his jaw, angry she dared to call him out indirectly. When class ended, he lingered behind, pretending to drop something. As she gathered her papers, he stepped close. Too close. "You shouldn't talk to me like that, Miss Carter," he whispered. "You don't know who I am." Alina looked up, unafraid. "I know exactly who you are, Jake. The question is, do you?" He blinked, confused. She brushed past him calmly and left the room. The next day things escalated. Jake's ego couldn't handle being dismissed. He planned something cruel, something to humiliate her. During a group activity, while the class was loud and chaotic, he approached from behind and tugged on her blouse. A childish, disrespectful act meant to tear fabric and dignity at once. The sound of ripping cloth froze the room. Silence fell. Alina spun around, shock flickering in her eyes for a split second, then replaced instantly by calm fury. Every student stared, wide-eyed, breathless. Jake expected her to scream, to run, to cry. But instead she stepped closer, slowly, her expression unreadable. The tension in the air was suffocating. She leaned near him, her voice barely above a whisper. Cold, controlled, and terrifyingly calm. "I know your secret, sweetheart." Jake's smirk vanished. His face drained of color. What?" he stammered, stepping back. "What secret?" But Alina didn't answer. She turned to the class, adjusted her torn blouse as if nothing had happened, and said clearly, "Class dismissed." Nobody moved. Everyone just watched as she walked out, her heels echoing like thunder down the hallway. Rumors exploded within minutes. "Did you hear what she said to Jake? She knows his secret?" "What secret?" Jake tried to laugh it off, but his hands trembled. How could she know? That secret, the one buried deep, hidden by his father, locked away years ago. No one was supposed to know, no one. That night, he sat alone in his father's study, trembling. The principal looked up from his desk. "Jake, what's wrong?" She knows," Jake whispered. The principal frowned. "Knows what?" Jake's voice broke. "About Mom, about what happened in the cabin." The principal froze, his pen dropped from his hand. "That's impossible. No one knows that. No one." But Jake just stared blankly at the floor, remembering the look in Miss Carter's eyes. The calm, the certainty, the whisper. The next morning, Alina arrived at school early. She looked through an old file in the teacher's lounge. A folder marked, "Reynolds Family Confidential." Inside were old newspaper clippings, photos, and reports. A mother found dead, a family tragedy covered up as an accident. But Elena knew better, because she had been there. Years ago, before she was a teacher, before she changed her name. In that moment everything connected. The whispers, the fear in Jake's eyes, the way his father avoided her gaze when she introduced herself at the interview. They remembered her, or at least they would soon. By midday, rumors spread like wildfire. Jake avoided class. His father called Elena into his office. "Miss Carter," he said sternly, "I heard there was an incident yesterday." "My son told me," Elena interrupted softly. "Your son should learn respect, Mr. Reynolds. But don't worry. I already know everything I need to about this school." His eyes narrowed. "Meaning?" She smiled. "Meaning, secrets don't stay buried forever." He froze, his breath caught. For a second he saw something in her eyes, recognition, and fear crept up his spine. That night, as thunder rolled outside, Principal Reynolds sat in his office, looking at the photo of his late wife. The same one in the file Elena had opened. His phone buzzed, a message. From an unknown number. "Truth is power only when courage dares to speak it." The same line from her board. His blood ran cold. Across town, Elena stood by her window watching the rain. The wind howled, but her voice was calm when she whispered to herself, "It's time they remembered what they did." The next day would not be a normal day at Ridgewood High. It would be the day when the past crashed through the walls of privilege, and truth would finally rise from the ashes.